Greetings, folks. This is Oral Ofori, producer and host of your human interest chat show, The African Dream. Today we're here in the offices of Ms. Thoronka. She's a lawyer who specializes in immigration and other facets of law. Our main interest in her today is though the immigration aspect of her law practice. Welcome to The African Dream, Ms. Thoronka.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Ofori. How are you today?
I'm doing good.
That's good. That's good. Wonderful.
It's good to finally get to be in your office and see you personally.
Oh my goodness. I'm excited.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Ms. Thoronka?
Oh, Ms. Thoronka has 4 children. That's my number one title. I'm a mom of 4 children, one of which is graduated from high school and going off to college. And I'm married to Ishmael Thoronka. He's also an attorney, and we share a practice here in Woodbridge. We have an office in Maryland as well as another office in Massachusetts.
Okay.
This office in Virginia specializes in immigration law. I consider myself a general practitioner,
right,
where I kind of dib and dabble in criminal, because with immigration and criminal, they're sort of going hand in hand now, right, synonymous. So criminal law and family, I did a little family law, but I like the immigration, so I'm doing more of that these days. I enjoy just really private times when I can, because it's so busy. So when I can sleep, I love to sleep. That's pretty much who I am now. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I'm a lawyer.
Now, you mentioned the fact that you have 4 children. Are they girls and boys, all girls, all boys?
3 girls, and then the boy came.
Okay.
We call him Mr. President. Nice. Because he rules all of us. I'm telling you.
I started my green card 8 years ago.
Thoronka law firm. If it wasn't for them, life would have been miserable for me in America.
I paid too much money on lawyers, and now I find Thoronka law office, and she do a lot for me.
I got injured. Guess what? My insurance was not trying to pay up, but thanks to Thoronka law offices, I got my check. Look at me now.
Let our family help your family, won't you? Welcome to the Thoronka Law Office. Here, we take pride in restoring families back to home. Whatever the legal matter may be, we provide the best legal representation at a reasonable cost. Excellence, honesty, and integrity are some of the core values that we are built on. With over 10 years of practice, our experienced attorneys have a long-standing commitment to you. At Thoronka, we are for everybody. We specialize in immigration law, family law, criminal law, and more.
Let our family help your family.
Let's find out from you personally, what is it about immigration law that fascinates you? What was, the major drive for you to want to specialize more in immigration?
Well, when I was younger, my parents used to always say, Lord, put me in a profession I can help people.
Right.
Lo and behold, I didn't know God was really going to put me in this, because when I graduated from law school, I never did immigration in law school. I was never interested in immigration law. One time there was a family that rented a church from my dad's church in Trenton, New Jersey. They contacted me and said, we need you to help us. And I said, in what? Immigration? I said, I don't do immigration. So we went to 3 lawyers already, can't help us. I said, I think you should listen to them. But I felt that God called me, literally, because from not knowing anything about immigration,
right,
I did a crash course, went to court, didn't know what I was saying, and then there was an older guy who literally told me what to say.
Right.
Subsequently, the client came out, and the details of the case always give me goosebumps when I talk about it. The first day of trial, final hearing, I wasn't prepared. The judge reprimanded me. The second time we're supposed to go back to trial, police stopped me driving down the highway because I was speeding. And then I got to court, the judge reprimanded me then. And then I told her, I said, well, my car broke down, and that's why I couldn't get here. She felt so sorry. Third time I went to court, I tried the case. It was really unbelievable what happened. And today they have their green cards. And since then, it's like it took off. But since around 08, 09, that's when I really started focusing on immigration. But since 2005, I've been licensed, and I was doing criminal and family law then. Yeah.
Now, a lot of people, especially immigrants and if we narrow it down to immigrants from Africa, which is where I'm originally from. I'm originally from Ghana in West Africa. A lot of people from these African places and, you know, third world countries that are here in the States that might be having, you know, crises with their status, which ropes in immigration, are, you know, they really got excited when there was this announcement by the Obama government that there's going to be a serious look into the immigration situation of this country, where some people are going to be granted either amnesty or something of the sort. Tell us what you know about that aspect of Obama's governance and the law he is trying to put in place to sort of like give more recognition to immigrants and make them feel safer coming out of, you know, the darkness and working above the table instead of under the table. Under the table.
Well, first of all, it's an executive order. Every president has been empowered by the Constitution to make executive orders. If they want to, Bush did it, Clinton did executive orders. Two things are happening. There were talks about an amnesty program. Reagan had an amnesty back in the 80s, extended to Clinton, and it had helped many people. They wanted to do a comprehensive bill whereby it'll create a path to citizenship for many of these people who are here that are undocumented. And that comprehensive bill would have allowed people being here a certain length of time to even file on their own. Just like Reagan amnesty allowed, if you came here since 81, you're able to petition on your own.
So you don't necessarily need to be married to a citizen?
That is correct. They wanted that comprehensive bill.
Right.
But it wasn't happening because, as we all know, the House and the Congress have to kind of pass bills and things have to kind of go through them. So as much as Obama had executive power to make policies, he can't make it on his own. So the only thing he can do before he leaves office is to make an executive order that will allow parents of U.S. citizen children or children who have green cards to be able to stay here lawfully. Now, it's not a green card, but it allows you to, as you rightfully said, for them to have a work authorization to work here and remain here lawfully. And it was also going to extend the DACA, which is already in place for kids. Instead of 2007, they would have extended the year to 2010 to open up the room more for children who have been here and want to go to school and be lawfully here. It would have extended it, like I said, to parents, and those parents would be able to base on their children U.S. citizenship or lawful permanent resident status children file as well for that program to be able to work and take care of their kids. Now, the issue was some of the people in Texas, lawyers in Texas, some in the state said, well, it's not the law that it's not a law, it's not a policy that we are concerned about, it's the way you did it. So you overstepped your executive powers. So they're saying that it was unconstitutional the way he did it. Now, I think he will win. So it gone through the appeals. The appeals was denied, and now it is in the Supreme Court. We are hoping to hear something this month. But you know, with the Scalia being deceased, there is a whole lot of politics going on. We're hoping that they are hearing that case, and we may by the end of this month or July hear something on the DAPA, as they call it. So it's going to be an extension of DACA and an institution of DAPA. Because it's an executive order, if we get another president to come into powers, they can very much say, we can overturn that. So it will be as long as that next president feel comfortable for it to be. So we're going to pray that it's going to come to pass. I strongly believe that he did not overstep his constitutional powers. It will be granted. It will be approved by the Supreme Court. My only issue is if there is a Republican president, and I'm not having anything against Republicans, but the chances for it to be renewed probably next year might be very slim, because or they might just leave it alone and turn their heads to fry bigger fish. Who knows?
So assuming there's a change of government which is different from what we have right now here in the USA, and whoever that leader is decides not to continue pursuing Obama's immigration policies, where does that leave these immigrants who were hoping to benefit from, Obama's policies?
Well, usually when a policy is made and another administration overturns that policy, it puts you back to square one. I mean, because you cannot renew it. It's like when the Liberians had TPS after the war and they went into DED because their representative fought for DED, deferred action. But if another administration come and put a stop to it and overturns it, that's it. My guess really is, my gut feeling is telling me, I know I said the administration coming is a possibility. It's they might leave it alone, because they're looking at a more comprehensive immigration, which I don't foresee happening. Not in the next few years. I really don't.
Why do you think?
I just don't. I think it's the politics behind it is so much that they can't come to in 8 years they weren't able to come up to a resolution. It's been on the table for 8 years. I don't foresee it happening in my lifetime. That's just me. That's just my humble opinion. Because the politics behind it is just too much.
Gotcha.
If they look at it on the reverse side, that these people just need to be able to be here unafraid, pay their taxes, take care of their children, then it'll be that simple for them to create a comprehensive bill. But it's just too much politics going on.
So one of my viewers sent me a question, and I throw it to you since you are the one with the expertise to be able to answer it. They're asking to know. So right now, for instance, they are in the UK. They're originally from Ghana, and they're trying to relocate to the US. They're professional. They work as a journalist, and they have been looking into the opportunities out in the UK available to them by way of visa and status. And they told me that this is what we found. This is what I found out. The J1 visa. But with that, I'll have to be invited by an institution or an organization willing to sponsor my status.
That is correct.
And they were asking, is there or are there any other possibilities besides the J1 visa? And I'm like, I don't know.
I'm not a lawyer.
When we meet her.
Well, the J1 would be most appropriate in that under those circumstances. There are hundreds of visa types, and again, sometimes when people ask me, I say, "Please let me go research this and come back to you." But I kind of did a little bit of the research on that when we talked previously. Sometimes I want more information about the person and what their specialty is within the journalism profession. The reason that organizations have to sort of sponsor it is if you're coming to work before you get here, that organization have to sponsor that visa. Otherwise, people find themselves coming on a visitor visa, B1s, or B2s, and then trying to work, which causes a bit of a complication. Because if you did that, then there's an opportunity for you to even adjust through the H1B for you to permanently get a green card to work here in the country. So your visas are highly approvable if you have already a job or an organization sponsoring it. If you did a blanket visa to come, then the chances for you to get it's kind of 50-50. So I did a little search. I was coming up with the J2, but I wanted to ask around a bit, so hopefully we'll talk about that off camera about the specific type for them to come up, but I think the overall understanding should be whatever visa that you come through to work, an organization or a company have to sponsor that so that it can increase your chances to get it.
Interesting. That throws me into our next question, which is also from another viewer from the African Dream. So they are also from outside the U.S. They're from Africa, and they've been in the U.S. for almost a decade. Now, a little over half a decade ago, they got married to a citizen, and were hoping that it'll, speed up the process of them becoming a citizen eventually. But they got their work permit all right, and for some reason, the person they got married to disappeared. They just walked out on them. Now, they haven't been able to file for a divorce because she can't find him.
Don't file yet. Don't file.
She doesn't know where he is, and she's been waiting for like almost what, over 3 years, and she's trying to move on with her life, and more importantly, move on with the adjustment of her status.
Yes, yeah, that's correct.
What can she do independently on her own without filing for a divorce?
They gone to the process, to the step where the I-130 has been adjudicated?
I believe so.
Does she have a conditional residency? No, she doesn't have any green card yet, right?
I don't think.
Because they usually, sometimes people go, they adjust conditionally, and then
Right.
If they weren't married up to 2 years by the time they had their interview, if you were married more than 2 years, you would get a permanent. If you married less than 2 years, on the day of your interview, you will get a conditional, which you have to remove the condition within a year. So what I will suggest to this person, don't get a divorce yet. We will evaluate, sometimes we evaluate the entire state of the marriage. If there was any form of abuse in that marriage, now when I say abuse, people cringe. Abuse is verbal, is mental, is psychological, is control, is manipulations, it's abandonment. I can weave that into an abuse.
Right.
You hear me? So I tell them, don't run to the divorce court yet, because based on the VAWA application, if we proceed with that, we can show that the abandonment has caused some form of maybe depressions or some form of stress in your life, and you can move forward to file on your own. And that's one of the few applications that people can file on their own, as long as they have been married to a United States citizen or someone with a green card and the person has abandoned them. But it's quite complex, so she definitely needs a lawyer to handle that, because it's not something just fill out the application and send.
Right.
I started my green card 8 years ago.
Thoronka law firm. If it wasn't for them, life would have been miserable for me in America.
I paid too much money on lawyers, and now I find Thoronka law office, and she do a lot of for me.
I got injured. Guess what? My insurance is not trying to pay up, but thanks to Thoronka law offices, I got my check. Look at me now.
Let our family help your family, won't you? Welcome to the Thoronka Law Office. Here, we take pride in restoring families back to home. Whatever the legal matter may be, we provide the best legal representation at a reasonable cost. Excellence, honesty, and integrity are some of the core values that we are built on. With over 10 years of practice, our experienced attorneys have a long-standing commitment to you. At Thoronka, we are for everybody. We specialize in immigration law, family law, criminal law, and more.
Let our family help your family.
Here is another situation that I am aware of, thanks to, the friends that I have.
You have a lot of friends. You have a lot of friends.
People see me and they're like, oh, lawyer Thoronka? You're going to interview her? Would you ask her that for me? So I'm just doing the people's job.
That is okay, and I will answer those questions, people.
Anyway, so there's this person who came to the States like about a decade ago. They came on an H-1 visa, which allowed them to do an internship with a federal institution out here. And during their internship, they got the opportunity to extend, their stay with the federal institution. It was supposed to be a 3-month thing, and there was an opportunity to add another 3 months to it. So they had to file for an adjustment or an extension,
Right.
which they did, which was granted.
The extension.
Right. Right. And so it allowed them to stay here legally in pursuit of their internship. Along the line, they decided to adjust their status, and they didn't know the best option available to them until someone told them, try an I status. So they tried that status, and that was granted. But it was granted because you have to have someone supporting you or an institution.
An institution, right.
Yeah. And in their case, this institution was back home in their respective African country, where it was saying that this guy is out there in the States on our behalf,
right,
and they're pursuing our interest.
Okay, right.
And that was seen to be an okay enough reason for their status to be adjusted. And they got this I status.
Their status for them to switch their status.
Right.
From an H to an I.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And along the line, they ended up staying in the state for a little over 3 years, and they decided, I think I've stayed here enough to, pursue much better status adjustment, and so they went on the marriage route. So
and marriage sort of invalidates the rest of the other visa status once you get married,
right.
Because and then what happened with them? They
which I think what you said is what they're experiencing, but I don't really understand it properly to advise them. But as soon as they got married, they got the conditional green card. After 2 years, the conditions was removed, and so they're saying to me, so when I add all the times that I've been here in the U.S., it's been over 5 years, and I think it should be enough to get me to citizenship status.
No, it will not. They go from the day you have been in actual legal permanent resident status.
Right.
They were lawfully here on those visas that they were changing the status to.
Right.
They're lawfully here, no problems. They were able to work and everything. Once they adjust it, because adjustment only comes, adjustment can come through the H-1 if a company files for your, in their case, a marriage.
Right.
And the condition was removed. They were in permanent status now. The date on that green card that says lawful permanent residence, that's the date they go by. Right. So they will go for 3 years they will go for 5 years because they did not get a permanent card off the back. Right. So sometimes it's when you're going to get a permanent card or not. So they got to wait for 5 years.
Right.
It's not when they were going from H to I.
Right. So all those other statuses are invalidated
once you got married.
Once you get married.
That's it. Marriage trumps it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
marriage trumps it. But I mean, at the end of the day, they were not green cards. They were just visas that allowed them to stay here lawfully. So, unfortunately, whatever date that's on there, they got to wait for 5 years.
Nice. Interesting. Now, what are some of the common mistakes that you are aware of that immigrants make as far as the adjustment of their status is concerned? What are some of the very common mistakes that are easily avoidable that you're aware of based on your interaction and experience with them?
Preparation. We don't keep documents and we don't prepare. It's like you're going to war. You must prepare and you must have armor.
Preparation is very important.
Preparation.
Keep all documents that you have pertaining to your status, and just make sure you go in with a genuine intent. So, Ms. Thoronka, there is this new area of immigration that we're aware of that we really don't know about, which is called crimigration. We're assuming it's a hybrid of criminal and immigration.
Yes.
But what is crimigration?
Crimigration, exactly like you said it. We affectionately call it crimigration because it's criminal law kind of infused or married now to immigration law. And before, they would just arrest you sometimes because you're walking in the streets, and they profile it, especially the Hispanics were kind of got that very seriously. Or they hear you have an accent and you drive and they stop you, they want to ask you for your papers, you don't have papers. But now we are moving a bit away from that because taxpayer dollars were just spent recklessly on getting people who otherwise had not committed a crime.
Right.
In that, so we've moved away a bit from that, especially around here in Virginia, the DMV area. So most people who have criminal records or convictions, those are the people they're looking for now to remove out of the United States. So, for example, 15 years ago, someone's convicted of a simple shoplifting at Walmart.
Right.
And you have your green card, you've been traveling back and forth to Ghana, you've enjoying yourself, and 2015 here you are trying to cross customs, and somehow that old conviction pops up. Here we go now. Now we're facing immigration, crimigation, as they call it. So now the custom and people can say, well, you know, you had a conviction 15 years ago.
Right.
It probably was a 12-month sentence. They suspended all of it because your lawyer told you, you will not spend a day in jail, and you took the plea, and you never spent time in jail. You went by your business. 15 years later, now that same conviction is coming back to bite you. Correct. 12 months will get you as an aggravated felon, and now you're back in custody, immigration, and you're stuck there without bond. I mean, it's completely serious. So I'm telling people now, if you have criminal records from back in the day, try to hurry up and naturalize your status, so that if you're a citizen, they can't do anything to you, of course, even with a criminal conviction.
Right.
If you have a green card, they can try to NTA you, which is create a notice to appear to court, send you to immigration court, and try to remove you out of the United States.
The path to citizenship has this common impression, especially among immigrants that I have spoken to, that they feel like they will definitely be interviewed or made to take a test. Now, is there a way to avoid that interview, or do you have to earn yourself certain status in the eye of immigration to go on the path to citizenship without necessarily being interviewed or being made to take a test?
Most of the time, it's easier if you're in the military. There are waivers, but you have to either have your green card for, I believe it's 15 years. You have to be 55 years old and have a green card for 15 years or 55 and 20. I forget the age and the years. It'll waive the entire exam. Or if you have a medical condition, you can get the medical report from the doctor stating that you cannot take a test. Maybe you have Alzheimer's or something like that on that line that causes the brain not to remember things, and they can waive the test.
Right.
Now, for people in the military, it's a little easier. I believe some of them are able to, and I don't know really in detail, I haven't handled this much, naturalize because they're serving the country. They have a green card, they've been serving, so they might be able to confer citizenship very much easier, maybe just doing the forms, and then they might swear them in and stuff. I have to look more. I was reading something about that, but I wasn't clear on it. But in that light, it may be a little easier for people who serve, and I think that's the only exceptions.
So just prepare for the test.
Prepare for the test.
What are some of the things you can say to people out there who are planning to, get on the path of citizenship, besides the fact that, have your documentation? If you can go as far back as you possibly can, do that.
Things that you put on Facebook. This is huge. Facebook, Instagram, whatever else, Twitter.
Right.
That's the ultimate place immigration is getting information from you. We can find out so much information about this person on social media.
This is Oral Ofori, producer and host of your human interest chat show, The African Dream. We're here in Woodbridge, Virginia, in the offices of lawyer Thoronka. She's specializing in immigration law, but she does law in general. Workers' compensation,
people in accident cases, we really handle that, and that's a pretty safe area for us to do. And of course, we handle the criminal law, especially in family law. My husband is more moving now into business law.
Right.
To deal with companies a little bit more. So we want to expand our company to maybe into that. But right now, the areas that I personally focus on is the personal injuries, the criminal, maybe some family, but definitely immigration. I'm expanding on that.
Glad, getting to interview you and have you shed more light on these issues that a lot of the immigrants out there really feel like it's important for them to have more exposure and information on.
Yes.
Speaking of more exposure and information, to visit our lawyer Thoronka, check out her website. The address is scrolling on the bottom of your screen, and if you want to call her, there's a phone number over there that you can call, and you get to directly speak to her or to speak to one of her people out here in her offices, and they'll be sure to get back to you as soon as they possibly can. Like she has said time and time again, have your documentation, let them stretch as far back as possible. Be authentic, be truthful, be genuine, know what you're doing, don't tell lies.
Don't tell lies, that's right.
Be careful what you put out there
on social media. I appreciate your time, and I really appreciate you inviting me to speak with you. Thank you so much.